One of the biggest problems today with water safety and drowning is that most people do not know what drowning looks like. So what does drowning look like? Is this what drowning looks like? The water's chest deep, his hands are up in the air, yelling for help. Is this what drowning actually looks like? We are going to learn that drowning doesn't look like drowning. It doesn't look like it has been portrayed in some cartoons, TV shows, and movies. Unfortunately, drowning has been inaccurately portrayed for a long time.
Sorry.
Portraying drowning as yelling, waving, and splashing. Yet there is little to no yelling or waving during a drowning incident.
Help! Help us! We're drowning!
Drowning has been portrayed as easy to predict. The boat won't start, the wave is coming, of course he's going in the water. But when people are at the beach, few are actually watching the water for emergencies that may be happening.
This is JD. I'm at Carrillo South. I got a capsized 12-footer, man in water.
And then once he's in the water, drowning is portrayed with lots of yelling and waving. A long traumatic event at the surface of the water that's going to last a long, long time. Does drowning look like this? Unfortunately, the inaccurate portrayal of drownings has filtered into beach signs. Is this what drowning looks like? Kids today see the first sign and get confused. If you see someone drowning, LOL? But that's not LOL. It's a stick figure of a person, and it's still inaccurate. The arms are up in the air, the head is completely out of the water, and that's not what drowning looks like. Is this what drowning looks like? The water is waist high, arms up in the air, yelling? Unfortunately, this is not what drowning looks like either. Does drowning look like this? The water's chest high, his arms are up in the air? Or like this, shoulder high, yelling, waving? Unfortunately, these beach signs do not accurately portray drowning. The true signs of drowning: everyone in these videos are rescued. If we watch this little boy in blue with the cup, we need to understand that a non-swimmer could simply step into water over his head and submerge. No yelling, no waving, simply stepped into water over his head and he's gone. And once submerged, he's invisible because of the glare on the water and the water disruption. So if you do not have eyes on the water and if you do not witness the submersion, you will miss it. Luckily in this situation, the cameraman had eyes on the water and made the rescue. If we watch this boy in the swim lesson, there's a platform in the water where they do the swim lessons. The boy jumps in without the instructor, steps off the platform, and he's drowning. He is not swimming, he is not waving or yelling for help, he is drowning. Luckily there's an instructor there to rescue him.
Look at Smokey. Smokey needs the crack.
If we watch these teens at this pool, he runs and jumps in the water over his head and he immediately starts drowning.
I've ever seen.
The cameraman is laughing and has no idea that this is a life and death situation. One of his friends is swimming over to help him, and the cameraman continues laughing. When his friend is there to help him, the drowning victim simply turns around, grabs him, and pulls him underwater. Now the panicked drowning victim gets his first gasp of air. Now his friend, who was trying to help him, is in distress and just wants to get away from him, but he gets pulled underwater again. The girl swam over to assist, and as soon as he feels her there, he turns, grabs her, pulls her off the wall and underwater. Luckily, they are still at the wall, able to grab it and get out of the water.
Somebody record me, somebody record me, somebody record me.
As we watch this ocean rescue, the lifeguard is swimming out to the drowning victim that was pulled out in a rip current. The drowning victim is not yelling or waving for help. His head is bobbing at the surface. If you were on the beach and saw him, would you have recognized him as a drowning victim? Luckily, this lifeguard is able to get to him, keep him afloat, and then signal for help. So we need to understand the true signs of drowning. The drowning victim is typically facing shore, mouth at water level, head tilted back, body vertical, and doing a climbing the ladder motion or pawing with both hands out to his side. This is what drowning looks like. Her mouth is at water level, her head is tilted back, she's gasping for air, her eyes are bugging out under those sunglasses in panic. And this is what drowning looks like. If somebody has hair in their face, the natural thing to do is wipe that hair away. But when they are drowning, they are so focused at keeping their mouth above water and so exhausted staying at the surface that they do not have the energy to wipe that hair off their face. This is what drowning looks like. She was drowning in Lake Michigan, posture picture perfect. Her mouth is at water level, her head is tilted back, her body is vertical, and her hands are at her side underwater climbing that ladder. And we need to understand panic. Panic is the first stage of drowning. It's an instant fear for your life. There is a high volume of panic at the onset of drowning. It is instant fear and it causes overwhelming anxiety. And when you are panicking, you are involuntarily overreacting, you are exerting energy, and you are exhausting yourself. If you cannot get through the initial panic, you may not survive the drowning incident. If we look back at the teens in the pool, when he jumped in, he instantly started panicking. He instantly started drowning. When his friends were trying to help him, he was panicking and climbing all over them. He was drowning them. It's not that he didn't like his friends, he was just in the moment of panic. So we need to understand that a drowning victim is in the moment of panic, and he can be very dangerous to any would-be rescuers. So what do you do if you are drowning? What we advocate is flip, float, and follow. Flip over onto your back and float. Float to keep your head above water. Float to calm yourself down from the fear and panic of drowning. Float to conserve your energy. And then follow a safe path out of the water. Float is the most important part of flip, float, and follow. If you want to survive a drowning emergency, you have to stay at the surface and continue breathing for as long as possible, for either self-rescue or professional rescue to arrive. As long as you are floating and breathing, you are alive and you are buying more time for rescue to arrive. So flip, float, and follow. We get the most questions about follow. It means follow the safest path out of the water. But which way is the safest path out of the water? Unfortunately, every drowning is going to be unique to the body of water, the condition of the water, and the ability of the person in the water. These are three big factors for survivability. So we want you to prepare now. Know that there are hazards around every body of water. Flip, float, and follow. It's a life-saving motto for those struggling in water. We want everyone to know flip, float, and follow in a water emergency, just like you know stop, drop, and roll if your clothes catch on fire.